been going now. At least I think so. Good morning. All right, so here is the quote of the day. Let me grab my notebook. Here's the quote of the day. It isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you down. It is the pebble in your shoe. That is by Muhammad Ali. It is not the mountains that wear you down, but it is the pebble in your shoe, and that is by Muhammad Ali. And I absolutely love that quote. That is the fearless quote of the day. And I love it because sometimes we can, if we don't take time to handle our business, we can never get to the great things. So we have to, remember we talked about being a small business of you, and that you are a small business. So we have to take care of those things so the pebble in the shoe doesn't hinder our progress, that it doesn't stop your progress. Because you not attending to or you not addressing the thing can absolutely hinder your progress. And you don't want that. You don't want your progress hindered. So it isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you down. It is the pebble in your shoe, and that's by Muhammad Ali. Good morning, friend. How you doing this morning? So don't let the pebble in your shoe stop your progress. Like you're looking at your mountain and you can't even get to your mountain because you're not even willing to deal with the small stuff. And boo, if you can't handle the small stuff, you sure cannot handle the mountain. And that's why some people never start the journey to their greatness. That's why some people stay stuck. That's why they're in the habit of waiting. I'm going to wait till the kids are grown. I'm going to wait till I'm divorced. I'm going to wait till I'm married. You're waiting. And that thing is the pebble in your shoe, and you're never addressing the mountain. You'll never know how great you are. Self-care is gangster. You have got to do the work. It isn't the mountains ahead that wear you down. It's the pebble in your shoe by Muhammad Ali. That means you're allowing the small things to stop you before you even get started. As Grant Cardone says, you're doing more harm by living small than you are by living great. You are meant to live great, but because you insist on shoving yourself into something small, it makes it hard. That's right. You've got to start somewhere, and you've got to be committed to your journey. You've got to be, because if you know, like I know, my destiny is not changing. This is not changing. It doesn't matter what I encounter here because I'm steady working towards this. So that means I'm going to handle the pebble in my shoe. I'm going to address the small things. So if I'm a small business, please go back and watch Your Small Business, those two parts. And if I'm JoJo Incorporated and I'm a small business, then I'm addressing everything so that when I get to the mountain of the thing, I am able to withstand it. And it's not going to be a pebble in my shoe, a small thing that's going to hinder. Don't stop your progress. And you can't even call it progress. You ain't even started because you ain't willing to address it. Let's do that. All right. So, fearless thought of the day. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I have to type this so that I can, because I have horrible handwriting, number one. So, I have to type it so that I can read my own hand. Some things I know, but there'll be points I want to make, and I have to make sure that I type it out so I don't forget. All right. So that was the fearless quote of the day. The fearless thought of the day is you're not free. Fear of freedom is keeping you exactly where you are, and you're not free. You may say, I'm free to do whatever I want to, but there's this one thing that you won't achieve, this one move you won't make, this one thing you will not do because you're not free. To live at this level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of the inner pain and disturbance. As long as you're afraid of the pain, you will try to protect yourself from it. The fear will make you do that. If you want to be free, simply view inner pain as a temporary shift, and there is no reason to fear this experience. And this comes out of The Untethered Soul. Now, if you're ready for some real, some self-work, this will hurt your feelings. The Untethered Soul, and it's by Michael A. Singer. Can you guys see that? Michael A. Singer. Get the glare off. This is on page 103. And he says, to live at this level of fear, you must not be afraid of inner pain and disturbance. And sometimes people can put it in better words than I can. And I say this all the time, that you cannot be afraid that on this journey, you're going to look at yourself. And there's going to be some times when you're not going to like who you are. You're not going to like how you've been. You're not going to like how you treated people. You're not going to like a lot of things about yourself, but you've got to be willing to do the work, the inner work. Self-care is gangster. You've got to be willing to do the inner work to get the result that you want. So you want true freedom. And he's saying here, you ain't free because you're not willing to deal with the inner pain and disturbance, meaning you're not willing to look at yourself and do the work and feel uncomfortable with knowing you might not have been the nicest person. Feel uncomfortable with knowing you made some stupid decision, because you got to grant yourself some grace and some peace and understanding in this process. But some of us are not even willing to look in the mirror to do that. And so if you're not willing to do that, if you're afraid of the inner pain and disturbance, meaning it's going to disrupt your life for a minute, as long as that's your guiding force, okay, you're going to protect yourself from the pain. Meaning you're going to say, oh, well, I'm not as bad as, well, you know, at least I ain't do this. You know, Christians, we real bad at that. At least I ain't did that. But it ain't as bad as. And that is you protecting yourself from looking at whatever the pebble is, the small thing is, whatever it is that's hindering you from going to the next level or even beginning your journey. You're protecting yourself from your pain. You're protecting yourself from yourself. The fear of it will make you do this. And you will try to protect yourself at all costs. Jojo, because this is what you say, Jojo, it don't take all that. Like, I ain't gotta do that kind of work. I don't have to do that. Okay. You may not. You may not have to do it my way, and that's okay. I just want to be able to give you some information so that you can at least have a moment where you say, oh, let me think about that. And please do the journey your own way. You have arrived at the exact time when you're supposed to on your journey. You couldn't have gotten here any sooner or any later. Today, right now, is your time. And it may not take what JoJo does. It's going to take what you need to do. But know that regardless, that your story may not be like mine, but I understand the journey of your story from the beginning to the end. And somewhere dead center, because in the beginning you can't handle, somewhere dead center, you're going to realize that you're not really free in your thoughts. Because what was that quote where it says, you can say you're free, but taking ownership of your freed self is another? Right there, when we start taking ownership of our freed self, please go back and watch that show, Taking Ownership of You. And there's 7 things that you need to do to take ownership of yourself. And as long as you're afraid of the pain, of looking at that inner pain and that disturbance and disrupting yourself and how you're thinking, if you're afraid of that, you're going to protect yourself from it. You're never going to move past it. It's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be there. It's not going anywhere. And if you want to be free, you simply have to view this inner pain as just a temporary shift in your energy flow. And this is how I thought about it. I've got to do this because my destiny's not changing. Let me address me. Let me look at what I don't like, what's not working, what's not fun. Let me address that first. Let me go ahead and do it. Do the work of it, because I know my journey is going somewhere. And when you do that, there is no reason to fear the experience. Now I can have that self-talk with myself and say, JoJo, you know, that was rough what you did right there, sister. I can then easily grant myself some grace and some peace. And if I got to apologize, if I got to work through it, if I've got to ask for forgiveness for other people, I'm not afraid of that process. And then I do the thing because there's no reason to fear the process, which takes us back to Muhammad Ali's quote. It isn't the mountain ahead that wears you down. It is the pebble in your shoe. It is the small things that we're not willing to look at, that we're not willing to address. That's how you can have the same prayer at 45 that you did at 4 and 5. I giggle. I crack myself up sometimes. But that's true. That's why you can have the same prayer at 45 that you did at 25, 35. because you're looking at the mountain and not addressing the pebble in your shoe. You ain't free, boo, because you ain't willing to do the work to be free. You hindered because you ain't willing to do what it takes not to be hindered. You ain't free. And at the end of the day, that ain't nobody's fault but yours, as my grandpa say. That ain't nobody's fault but yours. If you want to be free, do the work to be free, right? Do the work that is required of that. But if you are afraid of the inner pain and disruptions that's just going to cause just for a moment, if you are afraid to look at yourself, let me tell you what you can't do. If you are afraid of looking at yourself, what you can't do is check somebody else. You can't check nobody else's life. Let me tell you, I learned this. You can't check nobody else's lifestyle. You can't check nobody else's thought process. You can't check nobody else's attitude. You can't check nobody else's mouth. You can't check nobody's nothing. Because you ain't you ain't willing to do the inner work of yourself. So you're going to try to check somebody else who's doing that work and you ain't even started. Part of that checking yourself, working with that inner pain and disruption, the disturbance of you is checking your ego. And if you're not willing to check your ego or have it checked, there's no need to start in this journey. Because at some point, you're going to have to. There's no way around it. To live at this level of freedom, to live at any level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of inner pain and disturbance. As long as you're afraid of the pain, you will protect yourself from it. Meaning you will say, girl, at least I ain't do that. I'm bad, but I ain't that bad. I ain't bad as him. At least I did something. But did you do the work though? If you want to be free, you simply view your inner pain as a temporary shift of your energy flow. Meaning I look at my inner work as a process that I have to go through just for a moment to get to the end result. And I'm willing to get down and do the work so that my destiny is not changing. I can arrive there safely and intact, because that's the whole point. Let me tell you, your journey is lifelong. Once you reach your destination, you then realize that there's more destinations to come. You're not free because you're not willing to do the inner work of the freedom. To live at this level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of inner pain and disturbance. Meaning you've got to be willing to do the work. If you want to be free, simply view your inner pain as a temporary shift of your energy. There's no reason to fear this experience. Some of us fear the experience of us. We don't like how we are, but nobody knows it but us. And it eats you alive every day. But you can't communicate it to anybody. You can't tell nobody about it because you're carrying the inner weight of it inside of you. And you are fighting the old you with the new you. And the old you is trying to protect you from the hurt and pain. And the new you is trying to say, girl, we've got to be free. Freedom up here. I'm asking for all things here, and I'm not coming off this. You've got to be willing to do the work. You may look at yourself inside and determine that from now on, pain is not a problem. You've got to be willing to do the work. There is no reason to fear this experience of change, of growth inside yourself. If you fear this experience, you will stay where you are. If you fear this experience, you will be waiting your entire life for something you will never know the answer of. You will never know why you're waiting. You will never understand your process of waiting. You will never understand who, why, what, where you were waiting for. All you know is you were waiting for a thing that never came to fruition because the mountain didn't wear you down. It was the pebble in your shoe. You never even got to your mountain. You never really got to a struggle. You never really had a hard life. It's just that you were not willing to do the work of the inner pain and disturbance to get past a small thing to even get to a mountain. Some of us, we're not really struggling. We don't have a hard time. We're allowing the pebble in our shoe to stop us getting to our mountain. We're allowing the pebble in our shoe to stop us from getting to our blessing. We're allowing that pebble in our shoe to stop us from applying for a job, having better relationships, having better friendships, learning to communicate better. We're allowing that to stop us from everything in life, period. Girl, it is all for me this morning. A to the man. Because let me tell you something. I've got some things coming up, and I'm allowing a pebble in my shoe to stop me. And so this is me checking myself, and this is how I work through it. I'm willing to do the work, but if you're not willing to do the work, guess what? That pebble in your shoe, it's going to grow, and then it's going to grow into a bunny. And then y'all remember the story that I talked about how, and then he explains it really. Is it in this book? I think so. How we decorate our cage of crazy, so put the pebble in the shoe, and let's do the broke leg like I done before. You have a broke leg, so you modify your whole house and your car and everything for your broke leg, right? Eventually your leg heals, so you need to rearrange things back or move them again. But because you have adopted so much to the pain of your broken leg, the pain of the pebble in your shoe, you've adopted and changed your whole life to that now that's your normal, and you don't want to change it any other way. And so you begin decorating that cage of pain. You put curtains up, and you paint it, and you wear a new dress, and you buy new lipstick, and you need new makeup, and you buy new hair, and you swing it, and you buy new glasses and a new purse and a new house. You get a new man. But because you haven't addressed the pain, it's the same thing. Nothing changes. That's how we can have the same conversation about everything. That's why you find the same man. That's why you got the same job. That's why you never can be fed at church good enough. That's why you can never do this. You can never, because you ain't addressed you yet, boo. To live at this level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of inner pain and disturbance. As long as you're afraid of the pain, you will try to protect yourself from it. And fear will make you try to protect yourself from it. Like JoJo, in your brain, here's some neuroscience for you. Your brain always wants to keep you safe. Your brain is going to do everything that it can to help your life be easier. That's why when you start on this journey and you start doing something different, JoJo, and this is for me, when you start doing something different, right? Your brain is going to be like, oh, but excuse me, we procrastinate at this point in time, but the new you is saying, but I don't want to. Your brain, which wants to keep you safe, is going to remind you of all your old habits and ways that you did that worked for you. And you're going to have to tell your brain, I understand that worked for me, but this is the way we're going now. And that's when you got to be, that's why you can't be inspired. You can't be motivated. You can't be feeling good. You can't be any of that. You've got to be committed to the process of it. So when you're not feeling good, so when you're not energized and you're not motivated and you're not inspired, you're still going to do the work. And that's how Christians, we can pray and holler in the spirit of the Lord and fall out in church and then walk out and do the exact same thing that we were doing before, because the feel good is no longer there and you are not committed to the change. You were just interested in the change, because if you're committed, it doesn't matter what obstacles come your way, because your excuses are valid. Yep, single parent. Yep, I ain't got no money. Yep, family lives 400 miles away. Yep, all of that is valid. But when I'm committed, my excuses that are valid are still valid. Does it change that I'm committed? My destiny is not changing. To live at this level of freedom, you must learn not to be afraid of inner disturbance and inner pain. You got to look at it as simply a shift of your energy. Like, just for this moment, let me go ahead and work through this. Like, go back and watch bit.ly /I stood up for myself, where I talked about on Self-Care Sunday, where I stood up for myself, and it was a whole 5-hour process and how I worked through that. Now, normally I'm really quick with going through it, but that took a whole 5 hours. sister, brother, you got to stand up for yourself. And in standing up for yourself, you got to be willing to do the work that is required if you want this level of freedom. Because we don't want to ask for, we don't want to say, oh, I want it all. Jesus, give me my abundance and my blessings. But then you be like, oh, maybe I don't deserve it. And then you accept things here. I'm asking for things here, and I'm only receiving things here. There is no other options. I'm willing to do the work. There is no reason to fear this experience. That's not fear. That's what Sisters Keepers is for. That's what the Live Past Crazy Specialist is for. That's what the Fearless Morning Show is for. That's what my purpose partners are for. You don't have to fear this experience. That's why you have people who are willing to walk the journey with you. That's why your purpose partners, that's what I call them. And there's 7 things to being a purpose partner. I'm willing to give exactly what I'm asking for is one. And you want to help take what I see here to help me see it here. And that you celebrate me genuinely. That's what your purpose partners are for. So when we're on that invisible stretch of the road, which is in my book, Lioness Awakening. No, The Awakened Woman. That invisible stretch of the road where you know you on your journey. You know your destiny's not changing. But it's dark right here. And boy, you ain't understanding nothing about where you going, how you going to get there. You don't know. All you know is this second. And on that invisible stretch of the road, that's where your purpose partners come in. That's where your friends come in. And you can say, look, I'm having a moment. I don't understand. And I, as your sister's keeper, as the Live Past Crazy Specialist, I can say, all right, boo, it's knees to chest. This is what's about to happen. Let me help you do this. You cannot be afraid of the fear. You cannot be. To live at this level of freedom, okay? And I had to realize, y'all, I was saying I wanted to live at this level of freedom, but it wasn't until September that I realized freedom and peace had to live all in me. Like I had freedom and peace over here, I had a little freedom and peace over here, but I had to have freedom and peace from here down, and I had to be uncomfortable with doing the work. And you know why some of us don't have a blessing? Because we're not comfortable receiving the very thing that we said that we wanted, because we don't think we deserve it. And if we're not willing to do the work to realize that we deserve it, because we were created to deserve it. Not deserve it, we were created to have it because it said it was ours already. So I was created for the thing. The thing is mine, but I tell it I don't want it, or I refuse and I reject it because somewhere along the way I adopted somebody else's ideology about who I needed to be and why I needed to be. So now I got to do double work to reset myself back to the creator that I am. You're doing double work. Like the quote said yesterday, it's my job to feed into your hopes and your dreams. It ain't my job to feed into your doubts and your fears. I'm here to feed into your hopes and your dreams. And the quote yesterday goes perfect for today, for James A. Baldwin. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hope, their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with the pain. My Lord, how did those two line up? And I ain't even remember the quote to just now. Some of us are holding on to pain and anger and frustration and the habit. We have generational habits. We don't have generational curses. We have a habit because we saw mama do it, so you did it. That's why you cook the mac and cheese and the green beans and clean your house the same way. We have generational habits. And you as a torchbearer, it's up to you to break those generational habits and start it again. Every day, your mama, your grandma, your sister, your daddy, they left a legacy with how they walked every day. And you are doing the same thing. You're leaving a legacy every time you open up your mouth for your kids and your family. But as the book says, if you're not willing to do the work, because you ain't really free, if you ain't willing to live at this level of freedom and not be afraid of the pain of doing the work of working on you, you will be stuck in the habit of waiting. And you'll never know what you're waiting for. Period. So on this lovely Tuesday morning, I hope this has helped somebody because it has truly helped me get my whole life together on this day. Let's walk in our freedom. Let's be totally free. Let's not fear the process. Let's not fear the disturbance. And let's just look at it as simple, shifting my energy that for this moment, Because we know if we're a small business, right? Remember I talked about the small business of you? And if this one department is on FMLA, leave of absence, or they quit, your whole system, your whole body is off. You need to get that part of your body up and working again. You need to do that by having policies and procedures in place, a workflow in place, and a manual in place so that you know how to operate yourself in such a way that when something bumps up against your business, you can go to section 2.5.3, whatever, and figure out how it is. I ain't saying that it will always have the answer, but I will say you will have a guideline of how you're going to operate. Part of that guideline is that we want to be free. Girl, thank you. It was fun. When I tell you this was all for me this here morning. Y'all. It is truly for me. So I hope this has helped somebody. Let's close with the quote of the day. It isn't the mountains ahead that wear you down. It is the pebble in your shoe. And let's combine it with yesterday's quote because it just seems to tie in so good. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. That's why people love to complain. And that's why neuroscience, it's harder to stop complaining than it is to come off a drug. So it's easier to come off a drug than it is to stop complaining. That's why mama and them will never stop complaining because it's so hard. It's so hard. Girl, bye, Pebbles, boo. We ain't got time for you. No rocks over here. We're asking for all things here, and we're only receiving all things here. Because it said ask, receive. Shall, ask, receive. But it can't come, or it's there, but I can't see it because I'm focused on the pebble in my shoe. Y'all, that we are both the problem and the solution. The answer is there. And y'all know what I always say. We praying for a miracle, but we are it. We woke up this morning. You said, Jesus, I need a miracle first thing in the morning. It can't go another day. And he opened up your eyes and said, ta-da, Jojo, here's your miracle. Because you are the greatest that all that men have had. 2 hands, 2 feet. Girl, have an amazing day. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope you have an amazing Tuesday. I want you to be peaceful, period, because there's nothing after that. Please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring. If your friends and family don't have Facebook, send them over to the YouTube channel. They can binge watch all the Fearless Morning shows over there. So today, fear of freedom. Let's live on a different level. Let's handle our business today. All right, guys. Don't forget, I will be in Orangeburg, South Carolina next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Please make sure you join me there. I will post the link and the information again later today. I will be in Tampa in April, and I forgot where I'm going to be in August and September. I forgot, but I'll let you know so you can hang out with me sometime. All right, guys. Hope you have an amazing day. I will see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one.